In this short video, we aim to introduce to you our version of Cardiff. When we were first set the task of capturing what student life in Cardiff is about, we began to discuss what we knew as students of the place and what was actually out there, and we realised that in reality we didn't see much at all.
This is when the idea of a student bubble formed. We identified that students live within constraints and as a result form geographical clusters, in the example of Cardiff looking at Cathays.
We will aim to show this through the use of qualitative methods such as one-to-one interviews, focus groups, images, videos and mapping software. By choosing qualitative methods, we were able to collect in-depth research into student life in Cardiff.
We decided that a good starting point to introduce you to our Cardiff would be our normal day. For example, our route to university.
As you can see on our journey to university, we are surrounded by students. As we can see, the advertisements and types of buildings are aimed towards students. For example, the many letting agents who are always advertising available student properties, the Woodville pub who promote deals for students, and the flyers promoting student nights out, cheap drinks and student-based events. If we look at the ideas of Friedrich Ratzel, which were developed from Darwinism, we can relate them to student life in Cardiff. He theorised that every living organism requires a territory and living space which provides them with all their necessities. This can be related to the student atmosphere we can see here in the video, filmed on our journey through to Cathays.
As previously mentioned, we decided to test our theory of the student bubble through interviews and focus groups.
In a way, by doing this, we are practicing ethnographic research, as for a year and a half we've been living in the student environment at Cardiff.
As Herbert 2000 stated, this is useful because ethnography provides unreplicable insight into the processes and meanings that sustain and motivate social groups. So we chose to use the form of semi-structured interviews in order to achieve a conversation with a purpose, as described by Isles 1998. This prevented restricted answers and allowed us to gain a more personal insight into the interviewees' experiences in Cardiff. The following clip is an example of how we opened each of our interviews and focus groups to gain a basic understanding of our interviewee.
What university do you go to?
Cardiff University.
And what year are you in?
Year 2.
And where are you living this year?
Cathays.
Is that different from last year, like in terms of the place and who you're living with?
No, I've just moved down the road and I live with the same people.
We wanted to explore where the students' experience of Cardiff had changed over the years. If we look at this in terms of our student bubble theory, we wanted to see if their bubble had expanded or not. This question gave some interesting responses which allowed us to get closer to an answer. Are you seeing more of Cardiff this year, so like the places that you go to and the opportunities that you get?
Yes, I'm probably seeing more this year because one of my housemates has brought their car this year, so we probably travel a little bit further.
No, not really. I do the same thing as this year as I did last year.
Go to different places in town, but I wouldn't say I've seen more of Cardiff.
Yeah,
same.
So you see like the same as you did last year.
Yeah.
You haven't really branched
Just
out.
go
Well,
there more. You see a little bit more of Cathays
Yeah, I didn't really know
and like
Cathays so
different
well last
shops,
year.
but that's it. That's all I've seen differently.
I find we go to like lots of different local pubs
Yeah.
and like coffee places.
Cluster.
Yeah.
I feel like I haven't had the opportunity. I'm getting a bit jealous.
Although there were a variety of responses, with some second years thinking that they had seen more, most of the students believed that the only area they had seen more of was Cathays. This supports our theory that students do live in a bubble, as they have not ventured away from the central areas.
However, in order to answer this, we felt we needed a wider variety of interviewees. And as we are studying student life in Cardiff, it was important for us to recognise the experiences of other university students in the area. This meant interviewing students from both the University of Glamorgan and Cardiff Metropolitan.
Do you feel Cardiff is a very student city?
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
And do you think this is because you're a student?
No, I think it's because there's a huge student population. Even if you go out during the holidays or the summer or at weekends, there's still lots of students about.
You're living with students and you're seeing them all the time?
Yeah, true, yeah. And you're always seeing students.
So here's a map. Highlight any of the places you've ever been.
Obviously, I've been to Catays because that's where I live and that's where I go to uni. I've been to Butte Town to the Bay a few times for food, and I've been to the theatre. And I've been to St Fagans once to the museum. And I don't think I've been anywhere else.
I've been to Catays because that's where I live. That's where the uni is.
Yeah.
I've been to Butte Town because that's where the bay is, and I like to do things there. It's nice.
Restaurants and things.
Yeah. And I've been to Heath to play football, but not this year. That was all last year.
You ventured that far into Cardiff with that.
After collecting this research, we can see that there are many places in Cardiff that people hadn't seen. The majority of students interviewed had only mainly been to Catays and Butte Town, and very few had ventured away from these areas, and if they had, it had only been on an occasional visit.
They were in fact surprised that Cardiff was this big and that it included so many places that they hadn't been. We felt this solidified our initial theory that students in Cardiff live in a bubble that they may be unaware of.
If we were to research this further, we would interview other members of the public who live in Cardiff, for example shop owners and other residents. This would allow us to gain a wider perspective and research other people's views on student life in Cardiff. However, as a larger pool of participants would be required, it would be more effective to use a different method for such a large sample, such as a survey.
We could also carry this research out in other university cities in the UK, such as Bristol and Manchester. By doing this, we'd be able to see if a similar situation occurs.